If your cloud bill went up last quarter, and no one can clearly explain why, this isn't a tooling problem. It's not a reporting issue. It's not even a dashboard issue. It's a governance failure. I've watched finance teams stare at seven-figure cloud invoices while IT is clearly, saying usage is stable. Stable just means the number isn't bouncing from month to month. It doesn't mean it makes economic sense. Cloud cost overruns don't always come from spikes. They do come from decisions that no one owns. And by the time you're asking, why is this higher, you're already late. Most cloud overruns are quiet. A larger instance approved 6 months ago, a pricing model no one fully understood, reserve capacity that no longer matches demand, and data placed in one environment while the application stays somewhere else. Testing environments built for experimentation never shut down. Forgotten. No single decision looks reckless. But that's exactly why it survives the scrutiny. But the accumulation becomes expensive. And when leadership asks for an explanation, what they get is activity, not accountability. Hi, I'm Jason Hahn, and I've been the one approving these decisions and the one explaining them when the pressure shows up. The real problem with cost overruns isn't usage. It's that no one owns the economic design. Cloud is sold as flexible, elastic, efficient. But pricing in the cloud is layered. It's conditional, architectural. And again, most cost overruns don't come from spikes. They come from decisions no one revisits. A pricing structure approved months ago. Instances sized for safety economics. Capacity overbuilt because no one wanted to risk underbuilding. Over-provisioned compute, over-provisioned storage, over-provisioned memory, all defensible in isolation, but extremely expensive in aggregate. Then there's what never gets shut down. Proof of concept builds. Sandbox testing. Temporary environments that were supposed to last a week, but run for months if not years. No guardrails in place, no automatic expiration, no required review. $10,000 a month here, $20,000 a month there, running quietly, month after month. Nothing malicious, just unowned. And this is how you end up spending tens of thousands a month on something no one remembers even approving in the first place. Now, here's something most leadership teams don't fully understand, and that's egress charges. And all that is simply is the cost of taking your data from your cloud provider any place outside of your cloud provider. Cloud providers never charge you to put data into their environment, but they absolutely charge you to move it out. And for many mid-market workloads, egress charges can run anywhere from $80 to $95 per terabyte. Now, I know this starts to get a little bit technical, but just hear me through on this. At 50 terabytes per month, that's anywhere from $400 to $4,500. And 50 terabytes per month is not a lot, just for reference. So including all your cloud costs, everything else that's going on, you are more than likely spending roughly those dollars just to get your data back out. So at that cost rate, this stops becoming technical noise, and this becomes serious negotiation territory. And design determines whether the negotiation ever happens. Because if the data lives in the cloud, but the application remains on premises or in your colo, every call to that data is billable traffic. Every interaction costs money. That's not a spike. That's a structural cost. And structural cost compounds quietly. Now consider the migration myth. And I think you're really going to enjoy this. Or understand, I should say. So many times leadership teams are often told moving to the cloud will reduce cost. Sometimes it does, but only if you actually turn something off. Because here's the example. If you have your data center right now, and it costs you $2 million a year to operate that data center for equipment, power, cooling, communications, that's a cost that's largely fixed. And if you run 1,000 virtual servers inside it, and you migrate 999 to the cloud, but leave just one behind in that colo, the cost does not become 99% cheaper. Just running that one virtual server will still cost you $2 million a year because the facility doesn't scale down with your workload optimism. And now you've just layered cloud cost on top of fixed costs that you never exited. That isn't transformation. That's duplication. And duplication at scale is one of the most expensive governance failures a company can make, and one I have seen time and time again. The cloud doesn't create financial chaos. It exposes whether the economics were ever designed intentionally. I went to go work for this one company, and they were spending about $150,000 a month in cloud costs. And they had hired previous to me a consulting firm to move them out to the cloud. They were running 700 virtual servers in their primary data center. So they rebuilt all 700 servers in the cloud. On my first day there, I reviewed the utilization and asked a lot of questions. And out of the 700 servers that they recreated in the cloud that had been running for close to a year, I finally got the answer that out of the 700, only 2 were actually in production. 2. And 1 was a utility server, meaning if you shut it down, nobody would notice. 1 out of 700, but they were paying for the other 699. So we shut it all down. And within a day, the monthly bill dropped from $150,000 to roughly $4,000. And nothing about the business demand changed. Ownership changed. In every environment I led, cloud costs was reviewed weekly, not quarterly, weekly. We looked at week-to-week movement for anomalies. What changed? Who approved it? Why does it still exist? And then once a month, we met with the cloud provider, not for roadmap discussions, for cost discussions. Have we moved into a better discount tier? Are we sized correctly? Is there a pricing structure we should renegotiate? Because let me tell you something, they will not call you to offer that. If you don't initiate it, it just doesn't happen. Cloud economics require a rhythm, and without rhythm, drift becomes normalized. Cloud cost overruns are some of the most expensive mistakes a company can make. Not because the technology failed, but because the financial design was never owned. The risk isn't that the bill went up. The risk is that no one can explain why it exists at that level. If your cloud strategy doesn't include economic ownership and a real data center exit plan, you're not optimizing. You're duplicating cost. Subscribe if this is the kind of judgment you want more of. Thank you.